And we're recording. Thank you all so much to those of you joining me here live. Thanks to those of you watching the recording. Super excited to be talking to you today about backlinks. This is one of those things that is super important for your SEO, but it also tends to get a little technical. I usually try to stay away from the technical side of SEO just because I like to talk about it in terms it's like, hey, at the end of the day, Google's just really trying to put people in front of the content that answers the questions that they're asking. That's it. And that's true. But one of the things Google looks at is your backlinks. So we're going to get into it. We are going to start by talking about who I am, what the heck I do, why you should listen to anything that I have to say. So I am Allison Verhalen. Again, content marketer, SEO strategist, speaker, and author, doing all of the things. I keep adding things to that title. I have to stop doing different things because I'm going to run out of time and space. But yeah, so I majored in college. I majored in English and psychology. So perfect degree for content marketing. Had no clue what content marketing was, thought I wanted to work in publishing. Graduated in 2009, right after the job market crashed. So there were no jobs to be had in publishing or really anywhere else. So I ended up answering phones for a few years. It was a job, it was not a career. Found myself between jobs at one point, and my roommate at the time, her dad, who was an attorney, was awesome and offered to give me stuff to do around his office until I got back on my feet. And one of the things he needed was someone to write blog posts for his law firm. And he knew I had a strong writing background, so he offered me the gig. And I was like, what? I can get paid to write? Seriously? Yeah, sign me up. So I jumped at that chance, started writing blog posts for him, and then for an associate of his, and then for some friends of mine. And it just kept growing from there. So fast forward, I think it's been 11, 12 years since that first blog post I wrote. And here I am. And it was one of those things where I think if you had told me when I started doing this professionally that I would need to learn SEO in order to continue to do it professionally. By the way, for those of you who are unfamiliar, SEO stands for search engine optimization. It basically means making Google your friend, making sure that when people go to Google or another search engine, but let's be honest, 90% of the time it's Google. Anytime they go to a search engine and plug in or verbally ask for information, you want to show up when people are asking information when it relates to your business. So that's what I talk about when I talk about SEO. So sounds very scary and complicated. And had never considered myself a techie person growing up. So I definitely was intimidated by that, and would have been too intimidated to pursue content marketing, much less SEO as a career, if I had known that I would have to. That the two really go together. The more I blogged professionally, the more I learned you can't really do blogging without SEO and vice versa. They're really too intertwined. If the blogging is going to be effective, it has to be optimized for Google and other search engines. So just kind of fell into the world of SEO started out with keywords, and that turned out to be a slippery slope. And next thing I knew, I was down the rabbit hole of SEO and never managed to find my way back out. So managed to find my way all the way to backlinks, which is one of the more techie aspects I do with SEO. So let's get into what backlinks have to do with everything. First of all, I'm gonna a little bit, what are backlinks, internal versus external backlinks? So, oh, Matt's here. So a backlink is when something in a website contains a link to another website. So when you're reading, let's say, a blog post, and there's, by the way, this study from so-and-so found such and such, and they have a link, that's a backlink. Now I have written here internal versus external backlinks. Internal backlinks are when you link from your website to a different page or a different post on your website. So for example, I do this all the time. And actually, Mary and I were just talking about this morning, doing a blog series. If you have so much to talk about on a given topic that you write multiple blog posts about it, you can link them all together. In each blog post, you can say, by the way, if you want more on this, check out this blog post over here that I wrote. I do that all the time. Great SEO juice for that first article. Also, it's a great way to naturally organically lead people so they can actually click that link and organically find their way back to that page or post or whatever it might be. So that is an internal backlink, not as SEO juicy as an external backlink, but still worth investing in on occasion. External backlink is when another website links back to your website in their content. That is awesome for SEO purposes because Google wants to make sure it's the same in real life when, I stand up here and say, I know all these things about SEO, and you go, okay, great, but she's talking about herself. Of course she's going to say that. If Mary, or if better yet, someone else who's really good at SEO says, no, really, Allison knows her way around SEO, then that's going to have a lot more credibility than anything I could say. Backlinks work the same way. It's a someone, I've heard the term voting. I wouldn't say it's quite like a vote, but it's similar to someone saying, hey, this person is cool. This person knows what they're talking about on this subject. So that is why it's so valuable. Google takes that into account in terms of authority. Are you just up there tooting your own horn, or are other people using you as a resource? All right, so how do we get backlinks? First and foremost, we need linkable assets. That means you have to have content that people want to link to. You can say, hey, link back to my website, and they go, why should I? What's in it for me? So have really good content that provides value. It's going to be great for your audience, but it's also going to be great for anyone else who wants to link back to your website, or that you want to link back to your website. Give them a reason. So I created a list here. You can use some of them, all of them. Blog posts, obviously, I'm a blogger, had to put that first and foremost. Original research is awesome. I link back to original research all the time. My personal favorite is Andy Crestodina in the world of content marketing and SEO. His website / company is Orbit Media. I always go to him for original research, and then I go, this is what people should be doing with their blog. And I know that because Andy found this in his survey of 1,000+ bloggers, right? So if you have original research like that on your website, put that everywhere and tell everyone about it so they can link to it. Webinars like this, I will admit, I don't think I use my webinar as much as I could. I tend to put them up on YouTube and let them gather dust, but it is a great opportunity to lead people back to your website and say, hey, I have a ton of information on this topic. Here you go. So absolutely take advantage of those webinars. Same with online courses, books, workbooks, and journals. Anything that people interact with, and kind of interactive content, absolutely is a linkable asset. Infographics, podcast is another great opportunity. Obviously, the podcast itself usually goes up on whatever platform you're promoting it on, but there's usually a website, kind of a home for the podcast on your website. So take advantage of that. Apps, tools, calculators. People have, a calculator to help you calculate XYZ in your business, how much you want to be making per hour if you want to make X number at the end of the year, right? You can have a calculator for that. SEO tools obviously are a big one. What's the other one? CoSchedule's Headline Analyzer is my favorite. So if you have an app or a tool that anyone can use, especially if it's free, absolutely promote that. Any awards you won, you want to promote those. PDFs, contests, and reviews are also awesome for linkable assets. And UGC, otherwise known as user-generated content. Not only will people link to that, but the UGC in and of itself is, again, it's a great way to gain social proof because other people are using your product or service. Other people are talking about you actively, not just linking back to you, but actively talking about you. By the way, Google takes that into account too. If someone mentions your name or your business name, assuming you're the only one with that name, even if they don't link to you, Google still takes that into account. So there is still value in people talking about you, even if they don't provide a backlink. How do you get backlinks? First and foremost, have linkable assets. Haro is my favorite. It is help a reporter out. I get 3 emails per day, and it's a huge list of topics they're writing about, but they break it up into different subtopics or sections. So I always go straight to the business and finance one because there's almost always something in there about marketing, SEO, digital marketing, blogging, all that good stuff. So I look for those, and then if I will send them a response. They won't always use my response in the article that they're writing, but if they do, they will provide a link back to my website. That is a high quality earned backlink right there. So absolutely take advantage of Haro, Help a Reporter Out if you are not already subscribed to that newsletter. Highly recommend that. Be a podcast guest. So I should, I think, qualify this. So there's guest blogging I have not included on here because for some reason, Google decided it does not like it when people use guest blogging as a way to gain backlinks to their website. So they basically stopped counting them towards SEO. I mean, if you guest blogging is still a great way to get in front of new audiences. You can still get organic traffic back to your website. That way the link will still work. It's just that Google won't count it towards your SEO. So be aware of that. But I don't think that's true of being a podcast guest. I think if they put a link to your website in the show notes, that still works. So absolutely guest on as many podcasts as you can, again, as long as it's relevant. And again, even if you don't get the link, it's still great exposure. So that's always a great opportunity. Online forums are also a great way. Q&A sites, anytime people are asking questions about your industry and you can get on there and answer them, that is a great opportunity. Quora is a really popular one right now. Alignable, for those of you who are networking on Alignable, also has a ton of opportunities to get in front of people and answer the questions that they are asking online. So that is awesome. Any events, you can put an event on local calendars. Your local newspaper usually has a place for events. There are all kinds of websites where you can promote your event. And so that's a link back to your page, the landing page for the event. So take the advantage of those as well. Use social media. There's a whole other, I could and probably should do a whole other presentation on social media and SEO, because there is a lot of back and forth there. Again, if people are talking about you on social media, Google takes advantage of that too. Google looks at that and tracks it and will count that towards your SEO. So not saying that like every link you put to your website in a social media post is going to be awesome SEO juice, but it does not hurt. So definitely use it strategically, but do use it. Ask nicely. I don't think I covered this in a separate thing, so I'm going to talk about this now. So my favorite is there's a tool called Check My Links. It is a Google Chrome extension on the Google Chrome browser. And what it does is you can go to a blog post or a page and hit the Check My Links thing, and it will scan the whole page in like a few seconds. And it will tell you if there are any broken links. So if you are looking at again, blog post, website, usually blog post, if it's on a topic that's related to your industry, especially if it's on a topic related to a topic that you recently covered on your blog, if they have a broken link, you can email the administrator of the site or even the author and say, hey, I noticed you have this broken link on this topic over here, this blog post that you wrote. I just happen to have a article that I wrote about that myself. If you want to replace that broken link with my link, here you go. So you are now alerting them to a problem, because broken links also hurt your SEO. And you are also solving that problem for them. And while you're alerting them to the problem, you are presenting a solution. So you are providing value and it's relevant. And finally, give to get. You got to get your own backlinks. You can't, I think I talk about this a little bit in the next one. No, it's the one after that. So first of all, how to find opportunities for backlinks. Niche forums. So anytime I see the market in the brackets, that's like your keyword. Like if I want to talk about content marketing and I'm looking for opportunities to get backlinks to my content on content marketing, I would look up content marketing community or content marketing forum or content marketing blogs. Answers associations are also awesome. And if you are a speaker like I am, you should also be looking up those so that you can reach out to them and say, hey, do you need a speaker for your next event? So that's another way. Just use that keyword and look for associations. Roundups and resources are also awesome opportunities to get your content out there in the form of a backlink. Things to be aware of. Guest posting, I mentioned. Sponsored links and buying links. Okay. So sponsored link is like an affiliate link, right? That's where you are getting paid to have to have someone link back to no, when you are getting paid to link to someone else's website, that's an affiliate link. Totally fine to have an affiliate link. There's a little tag, and if you want to know more about this, I'd say reach out to me directly because it's a little more techy than I really want to get into on this. But there is a way to tag it to tell Google this is a sponsored link. Again, the link will still work. If people click on it, they'll still get where they're going. And you'll still get that affiliate commission or whatever that agreement is. It's just a way to tell Google this is sponsored, so don't count this towards SEO. If Google finds out that it's a sponsored link and you have not included that tag, that can work against you. And remember, Google knows all, so it will find out eventually. Don't buy links. You absolutely can buy a whole bunch of backlinks to your website. Google hates that. And again, Google knows all, so don't do that. But it's also just, they tend to not be very high quality links. And Google assumes that like hangs out with like. So if you have websites with thin, crappy, unrelevant content that's not ranking for anything, and that's linking back to your website, that's actually going to make you look bad. You don't want that. So don't buy links. Just don't do it. How to give backlinks. So like I said, some of the best way is to get a backlink is to give a backlink. Kind of general good life advice, give to get. Again, some things to be aware of because you don't want to just give backlinks willy-nilly. You want to check for relevance, check for quality. Is it relevant to your industry? Does it make sense to link to this from your content? Also check for quality. Highlight keywords. I meant to highlight this and I forgot to do that. So when I say highlight keywords, that means that there's a block of text that gets highlighted. It shows up in blue usually, depending on your system. It usually shows up in blue with an underline on it. That shows up as the link. So let's say I want to link back to something about LinkedIn. I'm picking on Mary here because I know she's in the room and I know a lot about her. So if I want to say, hey, you should really check out these LinkedIn tips. If I find that LinkedIn tips is a really good keyword, I'm going to highlight LinkedIn tips. That's going to be the anchor text. That's the text that I attach that backlink to. So it's got the keywords in the link when it's linking back to Mary's website. So it's just a good way to let Google know that it's relevant. So highlight those keywords anytime you're leaving a backlink. You want to use that as the anchor text to anchor that backlink. And if you still don't know what I'm talking, does everyone know what I'm talking about when I talk about that anchor text? Does that make sense? Anyone feel free to, Karen's like, kind of. What are you not getting, Karen?
Is just a link? Is it just the text and you're linking something to it?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
then I get it.
Okay, I was gonna say when you go to a website and you see, you're reading along and you see that blue and it's underlined and that's the part that you link,
okay,
that you click to get to the link, that's the anchor text.
Okay.
Next, use content partnerships wisely. You can absolutely partner with someone in your industry or in a related industry and say, hey, I'll link back to your content. You link back to my content. We can both gain some SEO there. Google will catch on to that. If you are always linking to them and they're always linking to you, Google's going to go, I don't know how genuine this is. So you can do that to an extent, just don't overuse it. And certainly don't rely on that as your only source of backlinks or the only backlinks that you are giving. It also helps when you are giving backlinks, not just to get something back directly from that person, but that helps establish you as a resource, right? Like I was just talking about Andy Crestodina. Mary obviously was nodding enthusiastically. She knows who that is. But if you don't know who that is, you've never heard of that research, you don't know what I'm talking about. Now I'm a resource because you didn't know that information existed, that study existed, but you know that I know. where that is, how to find it, that I'm keeping tabs on everything Andy Crestodina does because he's amazing. So when you provide those links in your content, it establishes you as a resource, as a thought leader in your industry. So always a good idea to do that, again, when it makes sense. Qualifying backlink opportunities. So when someone links back to your website, again, you want to make sure it's relevant. You want to make sure that the keywords that they're targeting appear in their target URL. They appear in the title. They appear in the body text, but not too many times. You don't want to stuff it with keywords. You don't want someone who's talking about keywords because they know a lot about keywords. And if you want to know about keywords, you should check out their thing on keywords. Don't do that with your, Mary's covering her ears. Don't do that with your keywords. Have it spread out in the body text. I'd say once, maybe twice per paragraph, depending on the length of your paragraphs. Enough to, again, let Google know this is what it's about, but not so many times that it's stuffed. Excessive AdSense placements could be a red flag. Some ads are fine. Everyone, not everyone, but some people use ads and that's fine. But if it's excessive and they're not ranking organically, that's not a great indication. What page type is it? Is it a social network page, a blog, a forum, a landing page? Number of comments in comment thread and the quality of comments in comment thread. I get spammed all the time in my comment section on my blog, to the point where I created a setting where you cannot blog on any of my posts after it's been published for 2 weeks, because that was when I was getting a bunch of spam. So it's not just the number of comments, it's also the quality. Like, are people really engaging with the content, or are they just like, great post, honey, I'm so proud of you? Like, that might feel good, but it's not going to do a whole lot for your SEO. Is it a competitor? And you might feel differently depending on your feelings about competition in general. But in general, it's a good idea to provide backlinks to people who are working in related industries, but are not direct competitors of yours. Is the text human generated? This is a big one these days with AI being everywhere. Because we can tell, right? If it's all AI generated and there's no thought leadership behind it, it really stands out as crappy content. So make sure that it looks like it's something that a real human wrote. Does the blog have recent posts, or was it the last update like 3 months ago, right? That doesn't look very good. Grammar and spelling, make sure those are correct. Those are big red flags that people look out for. Are the web design and images high quality? Does it load quickly? If it takes more than 3 seconds to load, that's going to start hurting the SEO. Because we are creatures of instant gratification. And if we don't get what we want when we want it, we can just click away. It's that easy to lose a prospect, is one click. So keep that in mind. And then, is there quality content about recent industry news and developments? So those are all things to look out for. Another thing I forgot to include in the PowerPoint is the fact that, again, Google assumes like hangs out with like, and there are absolutely crappy websites out there that can be linking to your website without you knowing about it, much less encouraging it. There are a bunch of SEO tools that include backlink checkers. So you can have it scan your website for backlinks that are not high quality, and you can disavow those links. The link will still work. That's just your way of telling Google, I'm not associated with this website, don't want to be associated with it. Please don't count that towards my SEO. So that's one way to keep track of that. The other thing to keep track of with backlinks, when you have backlinks on your website that you are linking to other websites, make sure those are still working, because people delete content, people update content, and then suddenly your link doesn't work anymore. And that, again, looks bad for you, and it can also have a negative impact on your SEO. So make sure you have a tool that checks your backlinks either constantly, or if you have to actively go in and check that regularly to make sure all those links still work. And that is it. That is the end. And if you have any questions, you can reach out. That QR code is to schedule a meeting with me so we can have a one-on-one and talk more about this. And then there's all my contact information there. And if you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now. So thank you all for watching the recording. And if you have any questions, you know where to find me.